Hi, welcome to part one of projects. I started looking back through my YouTube feed to touch on this on this new YouTube channel quite a while back, and searching today for my previous slides from the talks I used to do, I couldn't find them, and that's probably why I haven't actually tried to tackle projects again. Well, it's 2024 now. I have decided to try and put something together. This is like an introduction to projects. I know I've done it previously on YouTube, but I'm going to try again today. Just to talk a little bit about projects, why I feel they're important, show you some books and bits and pieces. And then I've just contacted a friend, Claire Armitage, because she used to teach the workshop with me after my stroke. Hopefully she's got a copy of the workshop. I can then copy off the slides, make some notes, and then do this justice. So this is basically about the thought process that goes into starting a project and why projects are important to you, for including me. Nearly every professional photographer you'll ever meet in your life does a project of some form or another. Professional photographers of the past, it used to be either personal projects or assignments for press photographers. And at the end of each project or assignment, it's about what you learn and what you gain in your knowledge over that period of time. Now, every project has to have a beginning, a middle and an end. And you've also got to have a start and finish date, or it'll just witter on forever. Some people have long-term projects. I've had some that don't work because they do just witter on forever and you just stop them. I've done many little Instagram projects and 365s. I've even done a walk-in 365 where I've done 10,000 steps in 365 days, which actually went on for a lot longer than that. But it helps your brain to focus and learn. My projects, personal projects, normally start on the 1st of January and finish on the 31st of December, and then I start a new project. Obviously that all stopped after my stroke. And I'll tell you why I do that. It doesn't mean to say I start taking photographs on the 1st of January and finish on the 31st of December. I may not even start taking photographs till February or March, but that's my time scale. And I advise you to start and finish somewhere. You could start the 1st of January this year and finish at the end of the year. The project itself is important. It's a huge learning curve. It teaches you so much about yourself. But in a way, you've got to decide what the project's for, and you've got to have something at the end of it. Personally, books or zines are the answer. When I used to teach my Learning to See workshop, I got everyone to go away and do a book. When I say everyone, hundreds of people come on the workshop. Very few ever went away, finished a project and made a book. Why? Because they never just got it finished. It takes a lot of focus to actually complete a project and make a book at the end of it. It means you've actually got to do something. I know this sounds really weird to say, but you don't get something for nothing in this world. You've got to put the time in to get something out of it. You can't just shoot 3 images and call it a project. You've got to shoot quite a lot of images and do something with them at the end. And it's what you learn about yourself and your photography on that way that's the important thing. I'll talk through this when I actually grab hold of these books, but one of my first projects was A Year of Black and White. Why did I choose that project? I knew at the end of it I'd want to make a book. I knew at the end of it I'd have a body of work which would have taught me how to edit black and white photography in the digital age. I didn't expect it to be picked up by photography magazines and books halfway along the way, and I didn't expect to be talking about it for 3 years afterwards at events all over the country. It just happened that way. And that's because the work that I did at the time, I picked the right time, I could say. So it was at a time I was changing from film to digital. I also didn't have much faith in digital cameras to reproduce images the way I wanted them in black and white. Even though I was a black and white shooter, I shot on black and white film. And I had a certain look and style that I had in film that I didn't have in digital. So I took a year to shoot black and white completely. That's just for me. I was doing projects for other people at the same time, but that was in colour. But I decided everything I shot personally for myself would be in black and white, so I could learn to edit, I could use Lightroom and how I could use Silver Effects Pro to get the look I wanted and the style I wanted in images. I'll come on to that when I pick my book up. You should always have something in mind for your project. And your project really needs to be for you and personal. Now, if you show that on social media and online, that's fine. Just remember, whatever you have in mind though, if you're going to do a book at the end and it's a large book, you need to be able to shoot large enough format to get a great image to go in that book. If it's just for social media, it doesn't really matter. Shoot what you like, stick it on social media. It's really, really important to decide the output when you finish the end of a project. Now, the output all the way along could be social media, and you could get something out of it. If you're clever and you find a project that no one's done, then the photography press might pick up on it. You might have a good advantage like that, and it might go somewhere. Who knows? It worked for me, it might work for you. Now, we did a project together. It was called Home. Claire Armitage, Robert Bentley, me, Jane McNeil, Warren Miller, Kevin Mullins, Alan Raw, Daisy and Darren Squires. We all did a project, and we produced this zine at the end of it. And the project itself, the images were shown at the Hull Photography Festival. So not only did it become a zine, this was the easiest way we wanted to do it, to put all the images together from all of us in one book, but we wanted to do it in an exhibition as well. So that's a great thing to do. If you can't do it on your own, grab some mates and do a project. We chose home after a lot of thinking of what does home mean to us? And that's how that came about. We all decided in a group on Facebook, how can we shoot a project and what does home mean to us? Individually, it's not something we all did together. We all thought, what does home mean to us? And everyone come up with different ideas. I'm not going to go through the book at this stage. I might do it at some time. Anyway, my first project that got me noticed as far as the photography press was concerned was A Year of Black and White. I made a book at the end of it and got a forward done by a friend, and it was just basically my learning to shoot black and white digital. Most of these were shot on a Nikon D3S, but it was about the processing, and the whole idea was to produce a book at the end of it. I think that was the year I shot 2,000 or 3,000 images, and then I got them down to 140 to get them in a book. That process of getting all those images down to 140 was one of the best things I ever learned in my life. You can shoot as much as you like, but what are your favourite images? What are the best images from that year? To put 140 out of a couple of thousand in a book teaches you that all the rest aren't as good as those 140. That teaches you to edit on a daily basis, so that when you go out and shoot 3 or 4, I don't shoot this many by the way, but when you go out and shoot 300 or 400 images in a day doing a street photography walk, there's only 2 or 3 really, really good ones. And once you realise that you don't want to have 2,000 or 3,000 at the end of the year to go through, you only really want a few hundred to go through to make a book, because otherwise you're going to have to trawl through that lot. Trust me, the ones that you keep at the end of that year to go in a book are your best images. We all put images on social media. I do remember looking at when people were talking to me about their photography and come to me to have a look at their work at one point in time. I used to look at their feeds first. I'd get them to send me their social media links, and I'd look at their Flickr feeds or whatever feeds to see how their work has progressed over the years. Because if you look at someone, if they've kept it from the moment they very first started on Flickr up to date, you can look back at the beginning of their work and see how they were learning in the beginning and their images were quite poor to where they are now. And you can look through those images and see how their work's progressed and how they've come on. And that's what projects do. Every year you shoot and you make a book, you can look back at your books and you can look into these books and think, wow, haven't I come a long way? Look at these images in the beginning. The horizon's not straight. That's not quite in focus. That's not how I'd like it. That's not composed very well. And then the images you're taking 10 years, 15 years later, you're thinking, wow, I really have improved. So that's really important. So the Year of Black and White was the first one. I then did a 52-week self-project, which is one of my favourite projects I did. Obviously, I've made a book again. I use Blurb or someone like that, someone that prints really, really well, that makes really, really nice coffee table books. And for me, it's all about the images. It's not about much else than the images. And they help me to look back and think, I really enjoyed that. Also, so many people do not print. And that's a shame, because basically when you die, your gadgets will all be probably sold on eBay, and all your hard drives will be chucked in the bin. I very much doubt anyone's going to go through all your hard drives and look at your images. But what they will do is probably take your books off your bookshelf and think, oh, I really like that. I'll keep that and I'll have a look. Which is how I did it with my parents' photographs. I've got a box upstairs of slides and photographs from my parents, and I'll probably keep them until the day I die and pass them on to my kids. But trust me, all our devices, that isn't going to happen. So to create these books and magazines is a really amazing thing. One of the surprises that came out of my teaching photography workshops was this little book. by Dave Vaughan. And it was done on couples. And he basically loosely gave himself couples as a project to do for the year. And he shot couples wherever he went. I hope you can see these, but he shot these pictures of these couples everywhere he went. And right at the end, he came down to little elements of couples. I think it was inspired. I learned so much from his book. I think it was amazing. I think at the end there's an old couple walking away. I can't remember, I'll find it in a minute. But even at the end, he wrote all the details about every shot, when it was taken and everything else. That's a hell of a book, that. I bought that off him, and I was actually proud of what he did with that. And I was so glad he came on one of my workshops and went away and did that. And that's what you can do for yourself if you do a project this year. You can create yourself a lovely book like this to stick on your bookshelf. And then the following year, you can do another project and another project and another project. I know someone that has got a complete set of books from when they very first started photographing. Obviously, it doesn't look like that. It's one of the photographic albums with corners on the pictures and this, that, and the other. But I know someone that's got a book from every year they've been doing photography on their shelf up to date, and that's a lot of years. And obviously they're thinner books now, but at the beginning they were photographic books. And you can see his whole journey in photography on his bookshelf. It's absolutely amazing. I know it takes up space and it creates dust. And some people don't like that and they like to prefer digital. But at the end of the day, as I say, when you die, digital's gone. A lot of these I've either bought off my friends or my friends have sent me. This is Chasing Shadows by Sam Ryan. She's picked a subject that's easy for her to get into and focus on. And it's about the area she lives in. I think it's Glasgow. People that send me these things write inscriptions in them, which is always really, really nice. But I'm obviously into black and white, so to see this stuff is actually amazing. To do a book on shadows before it's become a popular thing, well done, Sam. Now everyone is shooting shadows in high contrast light. Stephen Wales did a book on Glasgow. I'm not going to open this, I kept this sealed and it's signed as well. So Stephen Wales did this little book on Glasgow. I have opened it and looked through it, but I know what the content is because I've seen it before. Really, really good little book, and that's end of a year project. Brilliant. Jane McNeil did Handover Street. She's done loads of other projects as well. Another one that I've kept sealed. And that includes a print as well, signed. I collect a lot of photography books and I collect a lot of zines and things that are all signed and have prints in. The new book that I've got that I showed you the other day has got a signed print inside it and the book's signed. These things don't have any value unless they're signed, and I do prefer a print in there as well. It might have some value one day, who knows. I've got Don McCullen's book upstairs in my loft, and I think it cost about 900 quid, and they're all signed copies and they're all numbered. And unfortunately when he dies that will go up in value as well, so I prefer and I like these signed things. And trust me, you can see stuff online and look at stuff online as much as you want, but it doesn't make any difference to you emotionally until you see this stuff in a book and in print. It's a little book that Chris Sterman did, The Alphabet. Very interesting, just on letters, just to give you some ideas. And it's only a little book. It's a little coffee table book, and if you don't like things that take up too much room, that doesn't take up much room. Imagine doing one of those every year for 10 years. It's not going to take up much room. It probably comes to about that height. And at the end of the day, you can look back and think, personally, I think it's a bit too small. I prefer something about at least 7x5 or 10x8 or something out there, old sizes. But so this is my quick introduction back into projects. This is the type of thing that you want to aim for at the end of your 12-month period of doing a project. I have done projects that have failed. I did a portrait project. I hated doing it. I found it extremely difficult to get the people to be on the right place at the right time to have their portrait taken. Thousands of people wanted me to shoot their portrait. Hardly any of them could turn up on time. I decided I hated shooting portraits. I decided I never want to shoot portraits again. But I learned so much in that year shooting portraits that I will never bother shooting portraits again for myself or for other people, because it's a complete waste of time. So I learned so much about that, it's unbelievable. My year in black and white, I did a whole talk on it, and I don't want to talk about that now to take up too much of your time. I want to make these short and sweet. But my year of black and white, I learned how to process and edit black and white photography. I learned how to print black and white photography. I learned how to lay it out into a book. I learned how to edit a couple of thousand images down to 140 for a book. I learned that if you pick the right project, it will be picked up by the press and the media, and you'll be able to then go away and talk about it. Claire Armitage did a project, a self-portrait project, over a year. She ended up making a book about it, writing about it, going and talking about it at the Hull Photography Festival, having all her images at the Hull Photography Festival, then talking about it at a Birmingham photo, a London photo, or photo London, photo Birmingham. I don't know what they all are. But she ended up talking about it. She talked with me about Learning to See project. It's all about project. She learned a lot about herself. She learned a lot about her photography, and it's catapulted her forward into where she wants to be now. So trust me, projects are important. If you look at some of the old news photographers of the past, even Eamon McCabe and things like that, if you look at his work, it's all project based. They come up with an idea, they go and shoot it. They come up with an idea, they go and shoot it. I don't know how I'm going to approach this to try and do this on the next video, but hopefully something I've spoken about today might inspire you to go and create something like this, whether it be a zine or a book or something. In this book I've just got, as I say, from Colin Wilkinson, Frustration. It's just another book, but it's a book that you can make yourself on Blurb, and it's all your images that you put together, either for a year, from a year, or from whatever. Please, 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 do not have a look through thing that you've shot over the last few years and try and put a book together. It doesn't work, because you need to go out and shoot for a book, shoot for a zine, shoot a project, put that project in a book. It's no good thinking, well, I'll just put all my window shots that I've taken over the last 5 years. And not only that, your best work isn't back there on your hard drive. Your best work's out your front door. So go out there and shoot, and I'll catch you on the next video.